Solid Gold Sunday. Kiss FM.
And of course, it's a very, very special Solid Gold Sunday. The webcam is on, so if you're on our webpage, you click on Kiss FM TV, you will see he's back after almost 2 years. Do you realise it was the 10th of August 2014 when you sat in that seat alongside our lovely Bonnie Tyler?
I did, yeah. I couldn't get a word in edgeways, could I?
No, look, there's lovely. But we had a fabulous day, and of course I think the world and his very grandmother knows that for a lot of us the past couple of years haven't been too bright, but dark clouds, they say, always have silver linings.
Oh, they do, and fabulous sunsets. Did you see that cloud that came over about a week ago? And I thought, this is fantastic, and the sun through it looked puce pink.
Yes.
It turns out there'd been a huge fire, and that wasn't a cloud, it was just a cloud of smoke.
It was,
and the sunset was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable. By the way, the song you started off with, my song, Don't Talk to Him?
Yeah.
It's so nice to have songs that by great writers.
Yes.
You know who wrote those?
No, I should know.
Bruce Welsh and me.
You and Brucey wrote that?
Me and Brucey wrote that one, yeah.
Well.
I should have stuck with writing, you know. They make much more money.
Yes.
Yeah, so he's not bothered about the footsies and the tootsies.
No.
Well, the tootsies he is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, nothing's changed in that respect, then. Well, you know, I remember asking you many, many moons ago, out of all the wonderful things that have happened in your career, I asked you, and you answered this without hesitating when I said, what is the highest point of your career today? And you said, without doubt, getting my knighthood.
It's true. I mean, it was because it was so off the wall. You know, you read about politicians, great actors getting knighthoods, but you never read about a pop singer, and so therefore it never crossed my mind that it could happen to someone like me. And that's why it still is a pinnacle point for me to think that the nation and the Prime Minister at the time and the Queen thought I was worthy of that sort of honor. So yeah, that still remains a highlight, although funny enough, close on its heels, of course. Every time you have a number one, it's impossible to believe, because you can never actually say, I knew that was going to be number one. Of course, none of us know.
No.
You just get lucky sometimes.
It's in the lap of the gods. Well, I'm going to ask you something. Because you were preparing another album that you've been recording, we'll briefly touch on that a little later. But, of course, you had the 75 at 75 tour.
Yes.
Now, in the pecking order of the highlights of your career, that tour, to fill the Albert Hall 6 nights, consecutive nights, how does that rate on the score?
It rates very highly, but not as highly as 32 nights sold out at the Albert Hall, which I did years ago. I mean, and the funny thing is, I've talked to other artists, they say, oh, you sold out? I said, yeah, but you sell out, 50,000 seaters somewhere or 100,000 seaters somewhere. The Albert Hall only holds 5,000, so you could do probably a whole month there.
Yeah.
But a lot of artists don't like to spend too much time in one place. They want to get around the world and maybe do one concert in a city instead of 5. And I'm sort of the other end of the scale. I would love to do, for instance, and only one person was willing to even think about it. I wanted to get, say, the Albert Hall for a month. Well, let's say 22 days. And I would only sing 10 days, and in between, someone else would do the other 10 days. So one day me, one day him or her, one day me, which means, as far as singers, Effie, are concerned, is that you get a day off every other day. To me, that would be a dream.
Yeah.
And I asked, Neil Diamond was busy. Most of the American artists we talked to didn't want to come in and do one big show at the Earls Court or something and go. They didn't want to give up a month, which I understand. And the only person that actually thought about it was an Irishman, Daniel O'Donnell.
Yeah.
But we couldn't get it together, but it's still a dream of mine to do that. So the Albert Hall's a special place anyway, but a lot of artists could easily fill it 32 times.
Well, here's somewhere I've got a little note for the life of me. I've got so many notes here I can't find it now, but I think Effie will put me right on this. But Daniel O'Donnell's been promoting the fact you're with us here this morning.
Oh, has he?
As indeed Jim Core of the Cores, Eamon Campbell of the Dubliners, Finbar Fury of the Fury Brothers.
Fantastic.
And National Irish Television of Radio have already been doing. And, would you believe, BBC Radio 2 even gave us a mention.
Fantastic. Well, Radio 2 have been very good to me over the years. You know, it's interesting for me that I had a tough time with all radio stations when I released Millennium Prayer. For some reason, I still to this day find that the most heartbreaking number one I've ever had, because I couldn't figure out why they decided you can't reuse the word ban, because it wasn't officially banned. But if you don't play a record, it's banned, isn't it? If you decide not to play a record. And at the height of its sales, and I can't understand it, we sold 1.3 million in 5 weeks. And, I'm thinking, why do they... It was just a prayer for the future. It was a Millennium Prayer. It was right on 1999, turning to 2000. So it was always a confusion to me. But on the whole, I have to say that if you count the BBC Two and all the BBC local radio stations, they've been pretty good to me over the years, I have to say.
Yeah, so we can't knock it. Going back to the 75th birthday tour, I think I'm right in saying it's only the second time in over 5 decades that you've actually worked on your birthday. The first one was in October 1958.
Yes, when
you hit the charts.
Move went to number 2.
Yeah.
That's the night I heard. It was the greatest birthday present to be told that it had reached number 2, which, of course, as you know, and was as high as it got. It would have been lovely to have a number 1 straight away, but in a way it was probably providential, because sometimes if you have a number 1 that early, how do you follow it? So this way I didn't have to follow anything. Well, it was a pretty big record to follow, and I didn't do it well, because the next record was number 5, next record was number 7, then there was a 13 and a 19 or something, and then 5 records, 1, 2, 3, 4 records after Move It, Living Doll.
Yeah.
So it was worth waiting for.
That, of course, went to number 1.
It went to number 1.
Yeah. Talking about the 75th birthday tour, I have to send a personal thank you to you, because when you were out in Barbados, very kindly I colluded with Tanya and Malcolm from your team. You've got a lady who's listening this morning. Her name is Carol, and sadly she can only get around in a motorised wheelchair, and she actually saved up and made it for your 75th birthday concert, and you were kind enough to personalise her DVD cover for it, which you signed in Barbados.
Oh, right.
And she is listening this morning, and she's waiting for you to say, "Hi Carol, this is Cliff."
Hi, Carol, this is Cliff. I'm so glad you made the birthday tour, because that was a very special one for me. The actual birthday night, I don't know, was Carol actually there on the birthday night?
Yes, she was there on the birthday night, right in the front in a wheelchair.
Well, you'll know. You probably would have felt it. My friends, I had hundreds of friends that came to see me during that week, and they said the emotion from the public, it was so powerful. I mean, I had trouble starting to sing, because the audience stood up every night and cheered and really welcomed me back. And I said to my keyboard player, look, after the first night, I said, I'll give you the nod when to start, because the song Golden has about a 20-second intro.
Yeah.
And the first night it happened, I wasn't expecting it. I was almost in tears. I couldn't sing. So I said to him, when I'm feeling choked up, I'm going to look at you, start playing. So it gave me 20 seconds to step back in the shadows. Well, not the shadows, they're not with me anymore. Into the darkness, take deep breaths, and then I was able to sing Love Affairs and go on with the song Golden. But it was very moving. So, Carol, I hope you felt as moved as I did, and it was great, and I was very happy to sign your DVD.
And there were so many well-known people there supporting you on that night, and I have a feeling they're listening this morning as well. That's Dame Shirley Bassey and Sir Tom Jones. They were all there listening to you from way up in the gods, they were. And I am assured that they are probably listening here this morning. Well, I'm going to play a bit of your music, because after all the events that I am not going to talk about, what I want to do for you, my friend of so many years standing, is lovely to see you looking fit and smiling again this morning instead of grimacing at photographers. And I'll tell you what I want you to do. I want you to start bringing back that old familiar feeling of Cliff Richard.
Good. Have we made a start?
We're on it. Listen. Live in the studio this morning, our very own Sir Cliff Richard, OBE.
Our rhythm was the best that's touched the likes of me. I was really me when I had you. Give me back that old familiar feeling that left me feeling like I was someone.
Solid Gold Sunday with O&G.
Yes, and in the studio this morning we've got our very own Sir Cliff Richard, and it's a welcome back home to him. So pleased to see him after so long. Now, Cliff, you will remember a short while ago you had a visit from Lisa Davis.
Yes, I
and from Michael Armstrong, who'd recently released his debut album.
That's right. Good singer too.
Yes, and good
he stood
composer.
in for me once, in a TV studio.
Yes.
And I was really worried because he sounded too good.
Yeah.
I said, get him off.
Well, he's been in here with us and we had so much fun. And, of course, then we went off with Bonnie Tyler and she's completely outrageous and we had a wonderful, wonderful day. Well, he came on to me only yesterday. They are down for the Garlic Festival on the Isle of Wight.
Oh.
Which, ironically, is where I started as a professional musician when I lied and told him I was 18. I was only actually 15, but I was a big, ugly kid then. He's asked me if I would play this track of his specially for you.
Oh, good.
On Kiss FM, this is Michael Armstrong and the Radio Years.
Well, I try hard to remember, but where do I begin? It's something deep inside you, it's underneath the skin. And I've tried my best to shake it, but it never goes away. She knows I might never make it, but she begs me to stay. My definition, 'cause the radio years made the man I wanna be.
The Radio Years from the album simply entitled Michael Armstrong. And you heard it here on Portugal's Kiss FM in the presence and hearing of our very own Sir Cliff Richard, who's accompanied this morning by international singer-songwriter Ephraim Clark. Now, Cliff, talking about highlights of the past year, a lot of people would see you back in a place where you visit every year normally, and that's Wimbledon.
Oh, yeah. I love going to Wimbledon.
Yeah, in a different suit every day, I noticed.
Yeah, but it started, I can't, it was way back in 95, was it, when I first got invited to be a member? And after about 3 days, I had worn 3 different jackets. And as I arrived on the 4th day, this woman, the security people are all Army, Navy, Air Force people.
Yeah.
And an Air Force lady in the Air Force uniform came up and she said, excuse me, Sir Cliff, what colour is your jacket today? And I said, I think it's called crushed strawberry. She went, oh, thank you very much. I said, well, wait a minute, why did you want to know? She said, because every night we take a bet as to which colour you're going to wear tomorrow. Well, I mean, please, pressure. So then after that, I tried to change my jacket every day. And then now what I've done is I've got 3 or 4 new jackets and I've slipped them into the 12 and dumped 4 out. So although I can't change all 12 every year, I can make little changes. But I don't even know if they take the bet anymore. But even the TV coverage picks me up with jacket and always makes a point of mentioning it, which does put a pressure on some people.
Yeah, because everybody now, they don't just want to see you and hear your songs. You've really made a rod for your own back now because they always want to see what you're wearing.
I know, but did you see the final? I had a red tartan. I have no idea what tartan it is, and I thought if Murray gets through, that's what I'm going to wear. And of course, I was able to wear that jacket, and he won.
Yeah, well, that's why.
Fantastic.
It was
just
nothing
fantastic.
to do with his tennis playing. It's because you wore that jacket.
My jacket did the trick.
Yeah,
it turned everybody Scottish.
Yeah, it was a magic moment. Now, another magic moment at Wimbledon, because I've got a huge nose, I do believe that you literally bumped into Serena Williams.
I did. I was trying to get out of the way. The security people, they're very helpful. They get me in through the crowds and out through the crowds. And he said, okay, what time do you want to leave? I was going to leave. And then everybody was held back. They said, could you all step back, please? Players are coming through. And Serena didn't come through immediately. She came out through the members onto the balcony, and there were whole crowds of people cheering because she had just won. And she lifted up the cup and everything. And obviously she put the cup down somewhere. And then she came down the corridor. We were in a little alcove, the security man and myself, and she did a double take, and she went, Cliff! And I'm thinking, I knew Venus a bit better because I'd met her 2 or 3 times, but Serena gave me this big hug, and of course the TV camera was there, and I'm thinking I'll try and keep the low profile, but I'm afraid it did get out. But it was very sweet of her to do that.
But when you say Serena Williams gave you a big hug, she's a big lady.
Well,
it must have been a really big hug.
It was. I did break a rib.
Yeah. Now, that being the case, it has been known for you to enjoy a game of tennis, has it not? You know, only about 3 times a week or something.
Well, I play with a coach 3 times a week, and even though we do play the last 20 minutes, we play sort of points, and he's very generous to me because, you know, if you play a coach, you're not going to get any points. So we have a little way of playing it. He said when he's teaching his kids, the kids all want to win the point on the first shot. He said, what I'm going to do is I want you to hit the ball 4 times over the net, and you get a point. And then what I discovered was that my 4th shot had to be a fairly good one, you know, like a good depth into a corner, so that he has to run for it. Then I've got some chance of getting that ball back. Otherwise, it's gone past me.
Talking about chances then, what do you think your chances are of beating Serena Williams on the tennis court?
Well, she's never beaten me so far.
Oh, that's a good answer. And what do you do then? Wake up?
Yes.
Well, before we go any further, we've invited people to ask you questions. Obviously, a lot of people have asked the same questions, so I'm sorry we've had so many of them, literally hundreds of them, and we did say a couple of weeks ago I would take them in chronological order. And the very first one that came in from Anne Backhouse, who's an avid Cliffy fan, and she said, will there be any concerts in 2017, and if so, will Canada or the States stand a chance of at least one?
And the America's a difficult place for me. I've never really quite made it. I've had, interesting, I say that, now I have to contradict myself. I have had 7, or is it 9, top 30 entrants. 2 that people remember, but they don't remember me. Devil
We
Woman
don't talk anymore.
and Devil Woman. And I often go there, you know, if I go and have a haircut or something, the guy will say, hey, what did you do for a living? And I say, well, I sing. Did you make any money at it? Yeah, I do pretty good. What would I know? So I sing, she's just a devil woman. And the guy goes, with evil on her. That's you? I said, yeah, that's me. So I've never really made it there, so therefore it would be difficult for me to actually come and do a concert because I'm not quite sure what kind of audience I'd get. I missed out on a great opportunity 2 years ago when Morrissey very kindly asked me if I would join him
at the Gramercy in New York.
No, it was at the it was at a big stadium, 19,000 people, and he wanted me to be part of the support bill. I said, support? How long how long have I got? He said 1 hour. I said 1 hour, great, okay. So I agreed to go and do it, but he fell sick. So the whole thing got blown out of the water, and that's where the Gramercy comes in. I had discovered that the fans had non-returnable hotel bills, non-returnable fares, non-returnable everything. And so I went on to, I have a Facebook page which I only use it to sort of contact fans. And so I just said, look, if just go, enjoy New York, take your Morrissey ticket so you can prove you actually bought a ticket, and I will do something for you for free. And then we found the Gramercy Theatre. It only holds about 300 or 400 people. And my keyboard player, my singer, the girl, Susie Furlonger, Keith Heyman, the keyboard player, and a lighting man had decided also to go to America anyway, just to have a holiday. And I phoned them up and I said, look, the Gramercy, they said, say no more, we'll be there. And they joined me, and we did a 2-hour show with the help of a guy called Phil Silverstone, who is a DJ from Philadelphia. And he came and I said, I would like you to interview me 3 times, no more than 10 minutes. So we did about 2.5 hours, and we had the most fantastic, it was a wonderful, wonderful evening. I hope the fans were happy, and as I say, it was a small place. But Anne, I'm not quite sure how I could fill anything out there in the States unless I do it for free.
Well, I'm not so sure, because funnily enough, you talk about Phil Silverstone. There was a photograph that went on social network of him holding like this with you, and everybody thought it was me.
Oh.
Did you go to New York? Because the guy's got a grey beard and long grey hair, hasn't he?
Yes,
and he's quite
right.
a big fella too.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's not as big as you, but you know.
Talking about the States, Cheryl Davis, got in touch with us this morning from Southern Ohio, and you've just answered her question. You know, they'd love to see you in Ohio.
Well, do you know, I mean, I'd love to go to the States, but, you know, now I'm torn now, because I mean, I have very few places on the planet where I can actually go and just be another person. And I can't tell you what it's like when I go to New York, for instance. I have no fear about walking out in the street and going shopping myself and visiting a friend 10 blocks down, because I can walk everywhere. Nobody knows who I am. And it's a fantastic feeling. Some people don't believe me when I say that, oh, you must like being famous. I said, yeah, I do, but I like also being normal. And so I find in America, even though it's one of the, was it 600 million people? I go to America just to get away from the crowds, darling.
Yeah, and would you believe, somebody actually said to me the other day, you never guess what? We were in Continent and we saw your friend Cliff Richard doing his own shopping.
Yeah, I
said, well, funny enough, he eats out a lot, but he also eats at home and he has to do his shopping.
And I get a lot of guests who need feeding.
Yeah.
You know, I've got them now.
Yeah, I know, you've got a house full. I think it's only about 200 people staying with. I'll tell you what.
Actually, they're listening to me. Can I say hello, Gloria, hello, Jackie?
Yeah, they're all there this morning. You've got Sister here and Gloria.
Yeah, my sister Joan's here, of course. But anyway, yeah, so there's a whole bunch of people.
And so the lovely, lovely, talented Gloria Hunniford's with you.
Yes, she is.
I wish she'd come in this morning. I'd love to have had her in here.
They weren't awake.
Yeah, she probably wanted to stay back. I'm not going
in.
Well,
party. I'm talking about party girls now. We're never in bed before 3. Oh, I'm lying. No,
I'll tell you what, you've really ruined the impression I've got of Gloria Hunniford. I'll tell you what, we've really got to do a little bit of this. We'll be back with a wonderful Sir Cliff Richard any minute. Keep it Kiss.
Solid Gold Sunday on Kiss FM.
Now listen up, Cliff, because I'm playing this one especially for our Bonnie Tyler's sister-in-law, who's been to every single concert of yours. So please say hi, Margaret.
Hi, Margaret. How nice that you did that. You must be one of the rich fans.
Well, she wants to play this one, and it's appropriate as she is related to Bonnie Tyler, I guess.
Oh, really? Okay.
Devil woman.
Hello, Bonnie.
She'll slap me.
Lady, answering your mystical call.
Solid Gold Sunday.
And of course she's going to get you a line of Devil Woman. Well, we've just set Cliff Richard up because we've just given him one of our special Solid Gold Sunday coffees and a chocolate cake. And while he's got his mouth full, I'm going to ask him a question. He's going to spit chocolate cake all over me because Petra in Germany and Anna Coonan, they're asking the question, is there anything in your life you're still dreaming of doing?
Well, do you know what? The dreams never really stop. In some ways, when I look back, I've made records, I've done concerts, I've done musicals in the West End, I've been in movies, I've been in a couple of plays. And so if you take it like that, you think, well, what else is there to do? But do you know what? You still have that ambition to do it properly. You know, where you never actually seem to achieve perfection, and so you just attempt to get closer and closer to that moment when you think, oh, like for me, the Thriller album.
Yeah.
To me, that was a perfect pop rock album, and he must have been thrilled to have done that. And I still feel, you know, I've got to do my perfect pop rock album. But of course, nowadays, with the way the sales go, people don't actually buy albums anymore. They download tracks. So it's a little difficult to think that's ever going to happen for me. But nevertheless, I just want to do everything again and again till I get it right.
Most people buy an album purely for one song. And funny enough, on the way over this morning from Lagos, where we live, as you know, Effie was saying the same thing. Everybody's striving for perfection. You're only as good as your last show.
That's right.
Or whatever.
Yep.
Here's another question that came in also from Germany, from Marianne Newman. And she said, have you ever, talking about doing something different, have you ever considered designing jewellery, like a clasp on chain or something? She said, because her and so many of the fans would certainly buy it.
I haven't really considered that, no, funnily enough, I haven't. But we did go into perfumes once, not that I can create the perfume, but they wanted to use my name, and therefore I was allowed to sit in on the scenting of it, the smelling of it, and saying, well, I like that one, like that one. And it was fairly successful, but it's hard to compete against the kind of big groups of people with huge, designer names. So we pulled out. We had a couple of nice big hits with that, and then we pulled out from it. But it did cross my mind to maybe try again with men's cologne. Because I don't know about you, but even though some of the female colognes are just too floral, they're now beginning to use, like Joe Malone uses things like the kind of spicy, herby.
Yes.
And I'm thinking that with a little touch of lemon or lime or orange blossom might be quite good for men. So maybe I'll try that. But designing, you got to have a special mind if you're going to design successful jewellery of any sort. And I don't know whether I've got the
I
mind for
suppose it's
that.
a bit like writing a book, as the book from David S. Jones we've just given you is Halo Round the Moon, which Effie's also written the theme tune for. You've got to be in the mood, to paint a picture, write a song, write a book, or do whatever.
Well, more than in the mood, you got to have a gift for it. I think that's the way it is. And it's interesting for me that after years of knowing Una Stubbs, who played in my movies with me,
Yeah.
I loved Una. She was fantastic. Anyway, she now is a painter.
Yeah.
I mean, she still acts. She still does the acting. But it turns out she does these fantastic pictures, and she's got her own gallery in London. So that means that she already had that gift. Yeah. It just needed to be drawn out, and she found she could do it, and then she followed it through. So I don't think the only thing I've ever painted, I drew something once that was actually looked like what I was drawing, an onion. They sliced an onion, and I drew it, and funny enough, it did look like the onion.
What's he waiting for me to say on
Now
that?
look, come on. That's not it's not as easy as you think, because the onion has, when you cut it in half, it's got all these layers.
And the tears are rolling down your face.
Yeah, but with laughter.
Onions. Well, in which case, how do I follow a question like that?
I could make an onion sauce and sell that.
Yeah, cookery book. Yeah, there we are. A Cliff Richard cookery book. Yeah. I can tell you the recipe for a Jewish omelette.
Oh, really?
First, you go next door and borrow 12 eggs. Right. Now, here's Jodie in Adelaide in Australia, and she is listening online, so I think it's evening time where she is. She said, will you be returning down under to Australia, maybe to celebrate your 60th anniversary in the business? And if you remember, you were in this very studio when we celebrated your 50th.
I know, yeah, you're right.
And we gave you the cake, and I only had one gold disc, and we gave it to you, and the baker put it on the cake, and you didn't notice the deliberate mistake. He put it on upside down, so the silver was showing up and the gold was down. I know you actually took that cake down to Puerto Banús that day, and you shared it with Gloria and the lovely Scylla.
Oh yes, Scylla was there too. That's
Yes.
right. God bless her. Yeah.
See, I do remember something.
You do remember, but going back to Australia now.
Yeah.
Australia is a place that my band and I have always loved, and it's the only place that my band has said to me. They said, if you're going to go to Australia, if you can't afford it, we'd come for nothing. It's so fabulous down in Australia. So was that Jodie in Australia?
Yes, I think it was, yes.
Jodie, I think you're a lucky person to live in Australia. It's a fantastic place. And if I get the chance to go back, of course I will. But life is tugging me on. And I shall be 76 this October. Now, there's a group of us, and Gloria and I were talking about this. I didn't quite say this today, but I'll tell her. And I see her now next. Sometimes it's important not to give in to age. It's too easy for us to think, oh, I'm 76, I can't be seen doing that. Why not? Just wear what you want to wear, be what you want to be. And of course, I do realize that where I've been very fortunate when it comes to age, I've not had any major illness. I haven't had to deal with that. And so even today, when I go on tour, I have to have this insurance company that covers me, and so I have to go back checked up for everything, and everything seems to still be functioning. So I know I'm fortunate, but I would suggest to people, if they're getting anything over 60, do not give in to the age thing.
Address that to Effie Clark.
It's just, I'm talking to him now.
Yeah.
It's just a state of mind, and if you can keep your state of mind clear,
You're listening.
I agree.
You're listening.
It's a number.
There are little tricks you can do. Like, for instance, a lot of people lose balance as they get older. Now, you know what I do every morning? Every time I have a shower, if it's twice a day, it doesn't matter. In the shower, when you're sort of trying to soap your leg, don't sit down to do it. Stand on the other one. Lift your leg up slowly so that you're standing on one leg as you wash that one. Then do the other side. It means you're having to balance. And so now I'm quite thrilled with myself. The trick is to make sure that the leg you're standing on is closed rather, so it's straight, and pull in your stomach muscles, if you've got them.
Yeah. Might have all dropped south.
Now, that may be difficult for you.
Now,
because my wife usually forces me down in the garden in the morning.
Now, Effie, you've had a bit of personal training now from Sir Cliff Richard. While you digest that, we're going to do this, and we'll be back with Cliff Richard immediately after. Right now, 15 minutes to the midday hour on Portugal's Kiss FM.
Sunday morning classic hits.
Now we've got loads of questions that I've been asked to put to Sir Cliff Richard, who's with us here in the studio this morning. But first and foremost, Jerry and Jerry Simpson and the Augustine Choir say hello. And Jerry Kelly from LMFM in Ireland, who's been promoting the show for us this morning, he says, hi, we'd love to have you on our station as well whenever you come up to the Emerald Isle.
Wonderful. Thank you for the invitation.
There you go. You're in demand. Yes, Mariana Isabella Clark, they are Effie's wife and little 6-year-old daughter. They say, hi, Cliff.
Hello, I just signed a card to you.
Yeah, well, there you are. You've got something special coming your way, Mariana. And Antonina Remizo also says hi. And Maria Darling says they're looking forward to the cruise.
Oh, yes.
Now, are you on this cruise? And in fact, I had a question here somewhere from somebody who actually asked the question on the cruise. Yes, who was it? Everybody's asking this question. Too many to name. When you are on this cruise, will you be doing a meet and greet, or will you be hiding away in your cabin?
I think I might be hiding away. I'm not quite sure how you can meet and greet 2,000 people. And that's what I liked the idea when they told me about the cruise. I said, well, how are we going to sing to all these people? I hate the thought that you come on a cruise and they can't all get to see you. This cruise liner holds 2,000 people, and they have a theatre that holds 1,000. So my first day, when we get on board, that evening, I'd go to bed. But the next day, I've got a show at 8 and a show at 10. That means the whole of the cruisers will have seen the show in that first day. And then they invited me to do another hour show the next day. And I said, of course I'll do another one. They said, then they said, we made a mistake. You can't just do one the next day, otherwise half the ship won't see you. So I said, well, okay, what do you want? They said, well, can you do 2 half-hour shows? And I said, yeah, of course I can. And what I can do with 2 half-hour shows, I'll make it slightly different. I think at the moment I'm just thinking I might come on just with my guitar, just chat and sing a couple of things and explain how things started or whatever, then bring the band on and finish that half hour, take a break, and then do the same thing again for the second half, which means that everybody will see all of the shows that we do. Now, in between that period, I can't realistically say that I would be able to meet and greet. It's just asking too much.
You really can't escape on a cruise ship, can you? There's not too many escape
No,
routes.
it'll be interesting. I mean, I'm doing this as a kind of... I'm testing the water. Testing the waters.
Well, I hope you don't.
Literally. Because I want to find out whether I can enjoy doing this. Mm-hmm. You know, I've told people, retirement is not in my vocabulary, but I'd like to start doing things that I want to do when I want to do it. Now, if this works, if I can actually sing to an audience with my band, have a great time with the band and the audience, and enjoy our music together, it's a thing I could do in the future. Not solely cruising, but every now and then when the opportunity comes, you can get to close contact. Again, I'm looking forward to singing to 1,000 people.
There you go.
We got to that stage when, you know, there's 5,000 at the Albert Hall, it's 13,000 at the Wembley Arena, and as much as I love those, for me at the moment, I'm really looking forward to just playing good old solid rock and roll, which is how it started. It started in small areas, probably bars and down south in the States.
Yeah. 2 Eyes days.
Yep, so I'm looking forward to that aspect of it. So I hope you forgive me if I don't find time in the 2 days on board that I am, the 2 full days I'm on board, to be able to do meet and greets.
Do you know what, Cliff? I think they'll forgive you. And you must forgive me because I'm being told I must do this at 4 minutes to the midday hour.
Solid Gold Sunday on Kiss FM.
Now, a couple of questions or a couple of things I must ask you to do, Cliff. Would you say happy birthday to Linda Cheryl? She's on her birthday today and listening to you online.
Linda, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Linda. Happy birthday to you. From all of us in the studio, of course.
Yeah. We could have all joined in, but he was a bit too quick for us. And, by the way, Con and Margaret Harrington, the whole Teesside gang are all outside the studio this morning.
Oh, yeah, I've seen them. Can you get rid of them, please?
Yeah, well, security guys just gone now, kick them all out. They're a bit raucous, but we sent them cake. What more do they want? And they all say they're looking forward to seeing you on Tuesday. And a lady who I can't find it now because there's so many questions here, look. She said she can't make the wine signing that you're doing the winery on Tuesday. Will you be doing another one later in the year?
No, not this year, because once I leave that, once I get on that cruise, when I get off the cruise, I'm going straight back to London for 2 days, and then I'm off to New York. And there's a possibility I might make a record there. I can't talk too much about it in case it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I won't be doing another signing here. But, what a shame. Maybe they could just savor Well, no, if people really want to picture, what I've done is, over the last 4 days, I've signed 500 photographs. And so when people come to get their picture, I can hand them the card and then we can have a nice photograph taken together.
Right.
And so I'm sorry she's going to miss that.
Okay, another question then. You've obviously answered it because Cliffette de France, who is in France, said, would you consider going to Paris? Well, we now know it's not going to happen this year then.
No, it's not. And I've always liked going to Paris. I've got friends who live there and I visit. But I've not worked there for quite a while, actually. I think we did a concert there maybe, not this last tour, but the tour before, about 4 years ago. And there's always a good audience there, but they're not always French. The British come across.
It's very cosmopolitan there, yeah.
It is, yeah. There's people living there, and so I go to keep in touch with the Brits who might be there. But in the early days when the Shadows and I were first getting going, we had really big French audiences. But of course, as the years went on, like all of Europe, the Germans, the French, the Italians, they all found their own rock stars. So you can't blame them. So in the end, we kind of got nudged out by the good French guys. The homegrown French people, yeah. And why not as well?
Well, you talk about the homegrown people. I had a question here from Marita Keller and the German Cliff Richard and Shadows fan club, who actually asked me to say hello to you first and foremost, and do you know MacGyver?
No.
It meant nothing to me either, but I thought it might mean something.
Is MacGyver somebody's name, or is it a band?
Yes, or unless it's the name of a band.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll tell you what, it's good that someone's got a Cliff Richard and the Shadows fan club, because I'm sure they know, but Hank is now into his gypsy jazz music.
Yes.
And there's an album he made called Django's Castle. I play it all the time. Yeah. It is unbelievable.
What, after Django Reinhardt? That sort of stuff.
And it's like, you listen to it and you think, this can't be Hank Marvin. He played rock and roll. And he did, of course, and he's one of the best. In fact, so many guitarists, Chris Rea and Mark Knopfler, so many people say they began their careers because of Hank. But he's gone on to this jazz thing, and when you listen to it, it's like he played it forever. It is fantastic stuff. Django's Castle. So keep up being the faithful.
If you remember, I said to you, when you next go out there, if you could actually get a recording of his, bring it back for me. If you get one of
would it not be available on the internet somehow?
Yeah, I've searched it. I can't find anything. I did try and find it.
This is the trouble, of course. It's those of us of a certain age, it's a difficult thing to break into the internet. In fact, what I might be doing in New York, I've just mentioned it a little while ago, is a possibility of getting something that might happen on the internet for me. It's so hard to get into that internet situation because everybody believes that the internet's just for the young, whereas nothing is just for the young. It's a bit like Christmas. Christmas is not just for kids, it's for adults as well. So anyway, maybe Hank's having the same trouble I have, where you can't break into that world. without a little help somehow.
Well, I think I'm called a silver surfer now at my age. I've got another couple of questions I've got to hit you with any minute, but I do believe now I'm being told it's time I did something like this again. Stay where you are, because I know you've got to get away to go and see all these family and friends of yours, but whatever you do, stay where you are, please, Cliff.
Solid Gold Sunday with O&G.
Yes, and on the show this morning, not only have we got Effie Clark, but it's a welcome return to my old friend Sir Cliff Richard, who we've not seen in the studio for a couple of years, and we've had so many questions to put to him, and of course a lot of you did ask the same questions, so I'm sorry if I didn't mention your particular name, but hopefully all your questions have been answered, except for a couple of more. And this one comes, Cliff, from Petra de Nee in Holland, who said, when Olivia Newton-John walked onto stage and presented you with that cake, and then you sang a duet together, were you forewarned about this, or was it the surprise that it appeared to be?
What was the surprise was everything other than the song. I knew she was coming into town. So I'd asked her, you know, are you free? And she said, oh, I might be free. So I kind of knew she was going to be there. But I didn't realize that she was going to bring on a cake and then lead the whole thing and sing Happy Birthday. And I had no idea there was Queen was going to appear. And there was Elton and Brian May and all these people saying nice things about me and wishing me happy birthday. That was a total shock. And then, of course, there was Paul O'Grady came on.
Yeah. He's a lovely man, isn't he?
Oh, he's very nice. Yeah. But, you know, for me, Olivia, I've known Olivia for so long, and I love it when I go to the States and they say sort of, well, why don't we know you over here? I said, well, you should know me. After all, I discovered Olivia Newton-John. They go, what do you mean? And I explained how she and Pat Farah, who is married to John Farah, who wrote and produced all of Olivia's big hits in the States, she and Pat were my backing vocal group. You know, they were... And so then she made her record. Then she came on my TV show. She came on to promote it once. The camera loved her. The cameramen loved her. The audience loved her. And she stayed for 8 weeks. I couldn't get rid of her in the end. But we've remained really close friends right through. And so when she came on stage, it just felt right.
What a lovely lady she is, you know. I remember.
She is absolutely gorgeous.
She was at the lakeside.
And also, Owen, what a song. It's very hard when you record with a female. You know, men and women sing in different pitches of keys. And somehow or another, John Farah wrote a song where the male singer is comfortable and where the female singer is comfortable. And when it becomes uncomfortable, you just decide which one's going to sing the harmony. Simple. Yeah. And it worked. It's just a beautiful song to sing to.
Yeah, and she's such a lovely lady. I only ever saw her once live. That was at Lakeside, not far from where we all used to live in UK.
Yeah, that would have been in the early days for her.
Very early days.
And she's still, and she's got a contract where she's signed now for the second year to a hotel in Las Vegas, and they don't need her all the time. So she goes off and tours and does all different things, and then comes back and does a month maybe there, and not every night, but absolutely. I'm so happy for her.
Yeah, she's doing extremely well still, and may she long continue. Now, a question for you. Looking back over the movie years, who was your favourite female co-star, and any particular reason why? Can you think of one in particular?
It's hard to say a favourite. You know, I've only ever worked with people that seem to be really nice, all of them. But I would say probably the person I became closest to would be Una Stubbs. She was like, you know, a Bond. And it was fantastic, and I still remember her. But you see, Susan Hampshire was wonderful. And again, when you meet people like that, she considers herself too. She at that stage thought she was too drawn in the face, and I couldn't believe it. She put wads of cotton wool on the inside of her, between her teeth and her cheeks, just so she looked slightly rounder.
Oh no!
No, she wasn't eating it. You know, she just stuck it in there.
You made my teeth itch.
But it means that these actors and actresses, they'll do anything to get it right. And I was very impressed by things like that. And she somehow managed to learn, what's that word they use for people who can't read? Dyslexic.
Yeah.
She's dyslexic, but she always was word perfect. And so my admiration was huge. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. Now, another quick question from me. Last time we were doing this show together, I actually asked you, Tony Bennett had just released that duet at the age of 88 with Lady Gaga.
Oh, yeah.
And I asked you 2 years ago, if you had the choice to sing with a modern-day female singer, who would it be? Now, you actually sat there for a little while and went, and then your answer was Ellie Goulding.
Well, I must admit, because Ellie Goulding, I went immediately online and got a track that she did, which she sang called How Long Will I Love You? As long as there are stars above you. And I thought, oh, that sounds like the kind of song I'd like to do. And I know now, of course, her normal way of singing is probably far more high-powered, but certainly if we could find a song like that, it would be wonderful to sing. I'd love the intimacy of her voice when she sang like that. And so, I'd still like to make a record with her. But again, the female singer that I think is the most extraordinary singer is Mariah Carey. Mm-hmm. I'm not even sure if she sings anymore. I haven't heard anything. Well, mind you, Owen, you know as well as I do, you're not likely to hear anything new anymore from our generation, because people don't buy records, and because we can't break into the internet, some great voices are being lost. But they are available, and I would now say to anybody that downloads things, you've got to check Boz Scaggs. You've got to check, Bonnie Raitt. These are people that are fantastic exponents of pop rock music. Okay, it's not just thumping dance music, which is fine by me when I'm dancing, but sometimes you don't hear this kind of quality of song. You only buy it because it makes you want to move. And as I say, that's a perfectly good thing to do when you're out having a party. But people are missing out on some of those people.
And you're absolutely right, because I'm spending more and more time in my own studio back at home, and I'm searching through now and listening to music every single day, and I've got such a vast collection, as you can imagine.
Yeah, I can.
Having been in the game since 1957.
I heard it was... I thought it was 1897. Come on.
I waited for you to
1897.
No, come on. It was 1961 I first met you, and you were already 40 then. Come on.
And I still am.
15. And it's amazing, exactly what you were saying. I've been looking through, and one thing I found about you, I thought I have got everything you've ever done, and I didn't realise there's far more music that you've recorded that's ever made the charts.
Oh, that's right. Funnily enough, I for some reason, that's right, we were going to do Greenlight or something like that, so I got the album of Greenlight and played it through, and I was really in a way shocked, because I thought, oh my God, listen to that stuff. It still sounds contemporary. It's a band, though. It isn't electronic music. It's actually a band playing live, and some of the songs impressed me, and that's why as I get older now, I'm thinking to myself, I can do what I want to do when I want to do it. And there'll come a time, I haven't quite talked to Brian Bennett about, you mentioned Brian Bennett being on the song with me with Brian May. Brian is a fantastic musician, he's a great drummer, and I know he has a dream of going and working at Ronnie Scott's club in, a jazz club.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if you do it, I do happen to know a singer that's available that could come in just to be able to sing on the new album that we haven't got yet, so you haven't been able to play it. There's a track there, and Peter Frampton played guitar on it, and it's that kind of bluesy. In fact, it's called I got my eyes on you. I love
so
the
it's
way
like a 12-bar blues, yeah?
I love the way you talk. So I'm thinking I could just drop in and do a thing like that, and then sing maybe a songbook, American songbook with the band. So it interests me to play and sing different types of stuff that the audience don't most people still think of me as Summer Holiday, Living Doll, Bachelor Boy. Congratulations. Now I'm mentioning all the big number ones. I'm not knocking it, but that's what it is. Whereas I also do Devil Woman, We Don't Talk Anymore, and a whole bunch of stuff on the albums you've heard that has never been explored.
I did intend to do that this morning. Then I thought, well, most of your fans who are listening this morning all over the world, as you can see by the figures that are coming up on our screen, it's astronomical, unbelievable. They want to hear the familiar songs.
Of course they do, and that's why I sing them. When I get on that cruise, I'm going to hopefully sing stuff that people know. Yes, I'll slip in. I think I'm going to do a couple of tracks from the new album, and also the American musicians wanted me to sing Move It. I said, I've done it so many times. They said, but we want to play it. And of course, they've given it another kick, so I've done it. So I'll be doing that version of it. I'm doing a couple of Chuck Berry songs. And so I try to stick in something that's different and perhaps interesting for the band and for me to sing, but they're still known songs. But yeah, I'll be doing Summer Holiday. Yes, I'll be doing Move It. Yes, I'll be doing Living Doll. I'll be doing Congratulations. So, and there's no reason not to.
And that is just one page of yours from the British Book of Hit Singles of Cliff Richards. There is another page, and then I've got another page of recordings that he's made that have never actually gone into the charts, and it would fill that much. I've got to tell you. Now, I know you've got to get away any second, because I've, on fear of death, they said, please let him go at 12:30. Well, we're nearly there. And I just want to do a little bit of nostalgia with you.
Please, yeah.
Because both you and I, we know we haven't particularly had a good couple of years that have just gone by, but there are good things coming. There is a new album coming out later in the year. I do believe it's going to be November, and you've promised me that we'll have a copy that we can play it as soon as the record company give us permission.
If Tanya is listening on her internet, Tanya, please, would you put it in the diary?
Yeah,
send one to Owen.
I'll tell you what, good morning, darling. You are so supportive, and thank you so very much. And as you probably gather, we're looking after him. We'll send him home in one piece. But I'm probably going to bring a tear to his eye, because we both suffered losses of dear ones and close ones this past year, and I'm going to finish my morning with Sir Cliff Richard with a track of music from his duets album in memory of the lovely lady, is also a lovely, lovely friend. Yes, he will be signing wine on Tuesday, is the question I've just been asked. Yes, he will be there. And of course, we all lost our lovely, lovely Scylla, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
And you will remember, back in 2002, I believe it was, you recorded this one of hers with the beautiful Dionne Warwick.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Anyone Who Had a Heart is going to be always a classic. You know, they have the American Songbook, and I did my last album, called it the Fabulous Rock and Roll Songbook. Rock and roll isn't just a tempo, it's a whole culture of music, and Anyone Who Had a Heart is a classic pop.
See, I've got them all.
Track.
I've got them all here.
You have.
But I tell you what, before I play this one, I've got to say for the last time, it's been an absolute pleasure and a delight to have you back in the studio, Cliff.
It's been my pleasure, really. Thank you.
Long may you continue doing what you're doing. You do it to the everybody's pleasure, and we love you, we love your music, and it's great to seeing you with a smile on your face once again. And I hope when you come over and see your sister Joan, you'll give us a call in our home city of Largus, and we get together, and you and I have got an awful lot of catching up. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thanks once again to our special guest this morning. He is Sir Cliff Richard, OBE.
Thank you.